How's it going, folks? Your boy SCD is still fighting them diseases, but he's still here for now. And we're back on Ashes of Typhoon, the Redux with a typo in the name because it should be Ashes of Typhon, but it's not, it's Ashes of Typhoon. And hopefully this time it's not going to be as laggy as before. Anyhow, we've got Cry playing as the Farseer and missing Valeria, rocking a double Guardian opening, which is interesting. Clearly not going for any Banshees, because he could already have some on the way. So, kind of curious to see what the hell he's going to do here. And he's fighting against Gordian Varenful, playing as the Chaos Sorcerer. Now, I must admit, Farseer can rock some really good Guardian spam builds and range spam builds, because she can get the Ghost Helm, which can suppress enemy jump squads, and then it's really easy to just hit them with a cheeky little grenade. And that's a great way to deal with enemy melee when you're playing as the Farseer. Combine it with Doombringer, and Doom on a squad can often mean that a grenade will just give them outright, even if it's a tanky squad like Raptors. However, out of all the people to do it against, I think the Chaos Sorcerer is one of the hardest. Chaos Sorcerer actually is considered pretty damn decent against Eldar. I think Chaos Lord and PC in general, pretty weak against Eldar. Those heroes kind of struggle against shurikens and rangers, but the sorcerer gets a lot of things that make him a lot better. The sorcerers, aspiring champion heretics in tier 1 are extremely strong. The plague champions are also pretty good because you can buff them with mucus discharge to make, like, mucus discharge healed aspiring champion heretics will 1v1 exarch banshees. Just bear that in mind, right? However, the problem is that Mucus Discharge is only really good if you use it defensively, and the Eldar's just going to hide from you and shoot you with ranged units, so your AC ticks never really get into combat very easily. As a Chaos Sorcerer, however, you can initiate much easier. You can teleport your heretics forward and behind the enemy lines using Sigil of the Rift. If they go shurikens, you can teleport their shurikens to you and wipe them with double AC heretics using Sigil of the Rift. You can teleport yourself forward using the Warp teleporting armor, and then you can teleport your heretics to your location using the Warp global. The Chaos Sorcerer is really decent against Eldar. He himself, with the Sword of Flame, very, very powerful, bleeds the fragile Eldar models very quickly, gives him a lot of white potential against rangers and shurikens. Furthermore, Coruscating Flame, the ability of the Chaos Sorcerer with the Flame Sword, buffs the heretics again, so that they're really good against banshees. So there's a lot of things here that are going to make it difficult for Cry, and I imagine he's kind of, you know, he's playing for fun. He's doing a little bit of a challenge build. I like this little use of the Farseer. I wonder if this is intentional or not. It probably is. Keeping the Farseer next to the cover here, so you can see not many heretics are actually getting to output their melee DPS at a time. It helps the Farseer do a lot more damage to these heretics before getting forced off. There's a grenade in retreat here, so the heretics are actually going to wipe because they don't want to retreat. Gordian clearly showing a lot of respect to Cry there, knowing that he most likely would actually kill him in retreat with the grenade. But he loses the heretics regardless. Noise Marines will come down and they'll be able to dispatch the Guardians quite easily. Heretics here going to cause a soft retreat. Okay, Rangers poking the Noise Marines. What we're looking like for energy. You've got 2 generators here. No contested power nodes yet. 1 contested node here and full farm for Cry. As expected, because obviously he's not spent a lot of requisition on infantry squads. At least compared to Gordian. I mean, Gordian's really spent quite a lot on requisition so far. He's got his... well, now he's got double aspiring champions, and obviously this is actually technically a 3rd Chaos Heretic squad. He's got Noise Marines. Chaos Space Marines themselves cost more requisition than any of these units that Eldar has, and he's got the Vestments of the Warp. Fortune comes up on the Farseer, makes a lot of sense. This is the tanky melee armor that the Farseer can get. Gives her a really nice maximum HP boost of 150, but also free HP regen per second. If you watch the last cast with the Tech Marine, you would notice that that's actually the same as the Tech Marine's Artificer armor. Now, it doesn't give you mines, but it gives you the fortune ability. And I'd say the fortune ability probably is better. I don't know, I guess it depends on the matchup. Either way, pretty good armor. Obviously he can use the Farseer here to tank, to tie up annoying units like the Noise Marines, whilst all of his ranged units output some good DPS. So we see upgrades on all of the Eldar troops at this point, bar one Guardian, who will probably get it in due time, I imagine. And we see the 5th unit out, the Shuriken squad, which actually catches this Chaos Heretic squad. A bit of a miss micro there from Gordian. Should have actually been able to pull it around the corner and at least stall that Shuriken, make it, you know, make both units essentially useless. Infiltration Worship going to be used here to get the Noise Marines a little closer without the poke from the Rangers. Obviously, that only works to a certain extent. You get too close and the Rangers will detect you. But the detection range of Rangers is like 35 or something. It got nerfed. It was 40 before. Ooh, this could be a wipe on the Rangers now, actually. Yep, should be a wipe, should be a wipe. Come on, get the teleport, Gordian! Oh, kinetic pulse by the... it's going to die from the Shuriken. Oh my god, where did he fly to? Okay, he teleported over there, so he actually gets out. He might have actually been able to get the kill, but that would have been super risky because he doesn't know what else is around here, and honestly, the Farseer might have even killed the Chaos Sorcerer in retreat. Then again, it would be worth it if he got the kill. Anyhow, he didn't, but he didn't lose his Sorcerer, so he's not in a terrible position. He does have a really substantial VP lead, and the thing is, a lot of these units that Cry has gone for, they don't really scale. You know, Shurikens don't get any better in Tier 2 at all. Like, there's nothing that Shurikens... There's no upgrades to them in Tier 2. Rangers, likewise. The Guardians do get a lot better, but it's still only piercing DPS, so it's not that big of a deal. But it could be annoying with the Falcon. Okay, so Cryer's basically won all of the engagements the last couple of times that there's been some serious pitched fights. Cry also has 4 gens right now to Gordian's 3 in a contested, so he's slightly ahead in power income, and he's actually ahead in just resources in general. Ooh, could lose this Ranger squad. Come on, Gordian, teleport, teleport, teleport. Man, every time there's an opportunity to do it, he's a little too slow, and then he ends up getting kinetic pulsed. Maybe he's seen the Shuriken in the back, but it doesn't matter because it only would have took 1 hit to kill the Ranger squad, and then you can just retreat. He's actually going to teleport forward and warp some heretics to his location. That's a strategy, but I don't know. I feel like that was a little bit late. Oh man, really mispositions himself here. He should get the wipe there. There should be another teleport soon from the Sorcerer. Should get the kill on the Farseer. Bolt pistols are trying to make it happen. Oh my god, how did that Farseer get out? Gordian, you are not being risky enough for your teleports, man. You definitely could have wiped that out. You could have wiped a Ranger and the Farseer there. But a misplay with the Heretics as well. Actually coming round this way, so then the Guardians retreat this way. One of the Heretics should have just pulled off, and the other one should have tied up the Guardian along with the Chaos Sorcerer, and then when he retreats, the other Heretic can engage. You probably would have got a Guardian wipe, and that would have been more important than the Farseer wipe. Anyhow, it hasn't happened, but he did get a decent little gem bash. What did he get? He actually got all 3 gens. Wow, that's actually amazing for him. See, the other thing that's going to do is it's going to give him a lot of XP. Still barely level 2 on anything, only the Chaos Sorcerer, which is kind of surprising. And we actually see a Wraith Lord out already. Eldar economy, so good. Let's have a look at the upkeep right now. So, right, we've got a fully matured rec point, not fully matured rec point down here. Fully matured, fully matured, fully matured. So, you know, Cry basically has less rec income right now from the points themselves, yet in spite of that is plus 331, even though he has a Wraith Lord Walker out and Gordian has a shitty little Blood Crusher. So Gordian has the inferior vehicle, yet he is way higher on pop and way higher on upkeep. This is the power of this build from Eldar. Because things like Rangers and even Shurikens, really, they're very cheap on both pop and therefore also upkeep. And they're not bleeding a lot as well because they're ranged units, they're not melee, so they kind of retreat before they start losing too many models. we seen any aspiring champion? No, we don't see it yet. We'll probably get aspiring champion soon for the CSM. A nice generalist upgrade in this matchup. Oh, we see a Bright Lance on the Wraith Lord, so he's going to rely on that for AV against the Blood Crusher. I mean, that will basically mean that the Blood Crusher doesn't ever want to take a fight against the Wraith Lord, but that's fine. You just use the Blood Crusher in this sort of area to zone out both these VPs, and then you can just pew pew from ranged against these Eldar forces. And now that he's in tier 2, he will actually do a lot better with the ranged pew pew than he would in tier 1, and that's also part of the reason why you want to get your aspiring champion on CSM. The extra HP as well as the extra damage is actually quite nice. Grenade I thought was going to come down on the Blastmaster, and I think Gordian thought that as well, because he retreated the Blastmaster just before it came out when we heard that cue, but in fact it was a point blank nade into the Chaos Heretics. Hollowfield coming down here, trying to suppress things, but it's suppressing Plague Marines at the moment, which is really not very effective whatsoever. Plague Marine, oh wow, beautiful charge into Dark Flames combo right on the retreat path of the Shuriken. They're going to get wiped by that. Oh, amazing. And then the Sorcerer comes in and actually kills one of the units as well. Kills a Ranger model. Might even be able to get another teleport with the Sorcerer. It should be off cooldown soon, but no, he retreats. And he's actually going to have to retreat through a Singing Spear Farseer. The Singing Spear doesn't do a lot of damage per hit, but it does hit very fast and actually has very high DPS. 77 DPS heavy melee is nothing to scoff at. Blood Crusher has been putting on a lot of pressure, but it has to back off because it's actually getting precariously close to dying. And that scary, scary Bright Lance on the Wraith Lord will make quick work of it. Blood Crusher is actually engaging the Farseer right now. Very risky play, but uses the Demonic Roar to make her disengage and actually dodges a Blastmaster shot, which could have been quite brutal for it. But now it's re-engaging and the Wraith Lord is there, ready to kill it with the Bright Lance. He uses Worship to try and get it out, but because it's so close to the Guardians, it doesn't infiltrate immediately, and the Wraith Lord kills it. Cry is actually going for a second Wraith Lord. He is doubling down on the AV. I think Gordian at this point probably should get a Last Cannon Havoc, which could be pretty brutal, especially when you combine it with the Chaos Sorcerer. I love the Chaos Sorcerer in this matchup. He's so much better than the Chaos Lord or the Plague Champion, I swear to you. You can chase down Wraith Lords with your Las Cannons just using Sigil of the Rift, not to mention teleporting the Sorcerer around and using the Warp Global. It is amazing. And honestly, I would much rather be in Gordian's position compositionally here than in Cry's, but we'll see what he can do. Eldar is a race that is renowned for their wipe potential. There's always going to be an option for some cheeky grenades in retreat path. That could change the game very quickly. Where's that Blastmaster? It's right in the middle. Hits those Guardians pretty clean. Kills another 2 of them. They got to back off. Plague Marines doing what they do best and just capping under a whole lot of damage. Don't really give a damn. They're just slowly chipping away at the Wraith Lords. Now, one of the best things about Wraith Lords is they do actually naturally regenerate HP. Pretty awesome, to be honest, that trait. Blastmaster doing some huge damage, man. Blastmaster, not the best against mobile vehicles, but trust me, when it hits, you fucking feel it. Watch this. Boom, another really nice hit from the Blastmaster. Autark being called in, pretty obvious choice, to be honest. He needs to disrupt all these ranged anti-vehicle units in order to keep his Wraith Lords alive. Also, he knows, does Cry, that a Las Cannon Havoc would be an obvious choice against him, which we now see. In fact, we see an Auto Cannon Havoc. Interesting. I like it. We'll see how this does. And an obvious counter to the Auto Cannon Havoc would be, of course, to jump it with the Autark. So yeah, the Autark is an obvious choice for Cry, but the thing is, the Autark is only 750 light infantry armor, so it's really not that tanky. You know, you've got the damage over time from the Sword of Flame, you've got the damage over time from the Plague Marine Bolters, potentially slaughter CSM if he gets the Aspirant Champion. I really would like to see the Aspirant Champion on the CSM. It's just a lot of damage for the fragile little Autark. She has to be very careful where she jumps. And it is a triple cap at the moment for Cry, but he is behind quite significantly on VPs, to be honest. Nice use of Infiltration Worship at this point. Rangers, where are they? They're down on this far side. Yeah, so there's nothing really to detect right now. Blastmaster getting some easy hits on these Wraith Lords, and the DPS from the Blastmaster is actually massively out-damaging the healing from the double Guardians, which is quite impressive. Blastmaster proving very useful here. Fortune down on the Autark, I like that. As we discussed. Very fragile, so of course you want to make her less fragile. Give her that damage resistance buff. But the autocannon is rotating around, getting some shots on the Farseer of all people. Actually nearly killing her, but has retargeted. Nope, now is retargeting the Farseer because actually the arc was pretty awkward there. Ooh, special attack could be brutal. Doesn't proc it, fortunately, for Gordian. What happened on this side? Oh, Cry fucked up. Fucked up his micro, and Heretics actually got into melee. Where did they go? Okay, teleported the Heretics to his Sorcerer, trying to wipe the auto out, but Cry is actually privy to that. Cry is going to get some Dark Reapers. Interesting. I was literally just about to say, I actually think in this instance he needs to get some Banshees. This composition that Gordian's got right now, there's not really any elite melee, you know, we're not seeing any Bloodletters, which are kind of a quintessential unit for the Chaos Tier 2. We've only got Heretics, which, look, Heretics are fine, but you can shoot the Heretics down with your Guardians, put your Fortune onto the Banshees and they should do pretty decently, but unfortunately for Cry, he now has to contend with a Dreadnought. Wow, he's actually going for a Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought. This is some huge commitment to AV right now. The thing is, there is a Fortune Singing Spear Farseer on the field who will do huge damage in melee to this Dreadnought and just completely shut down any hopes of being effective in ranged combat. So I really don't know how I feel about it. But on the other hand, this is a lot of ranged anti-vehicle damage coming out right now. Blastmaster unfortunately not aiming at this forward Wraithlord like it should be, and now the Dreadnought's just running away because it's just so easily neutered by melee from the Wraithlord. Banshees are now in the lines of the Chaos player. Just chasing the Dreadnought, which is a mistake. They should be shutting down the Blastmaster. Plague Marine's actually about to go down. Wraithlord just needs to turn around and hit them once. Oh my god, he fucks it up and it rotates too slowly and the Plague Marines get out. This is unbelievable. Wraithlord is pursuing into base, trying to get the wipe on the Dreadnought. This is a really questionable purchase. I really don't like this Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought. Yeah, it dies to the Bright Lance. That... man. What are the Plague Marines doing? They're not shooting because this is the problem with Tzeentch Worship. You activate Tzeentch Worship and your units don't anymore. They don't auto-attack, even if you use a move. But finally, they do actually take out that Wraithlord, but this is what Cry wanted. He needed something to give him a little bit of time to get some VPs under his control. He only has 42 more VPs left. Still no aspiring champion on the bloody CSM, and he's just going to get another Wraithlord. Keep the pressure on. I mean, the Wraithlords are taking a long time to kill. Man, that choice by Gordian, really poor. And that was just as bad as the Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought choice was, it was just a really poorly taken engagement. The Mark of Tzeentch Dreadnought should not have been at the front in the first place. The Blastmaster was not firing at the Wraithlord at the front, which was an error. And the Autocannon Havoc was constantly firing at the wrong targets as well. Okay, we're seeing quite a big push here. Demonic Summoning coming out for the... oh my god, the Friendly Fire absolutely brutalizes these Heretics. Jesus Christ. They are trying to reinforce off of the Demonic Summoning, but damn, that is painful. A lot of Bloodletters surrounding these Banshees right now after they've been hit by the Blastmaster. Wraithlord moves in, doing some huge splash damage to the Blastmaster models. Trying to finish off the Heretics. Banshees actually just about get out alive. Blastmaster firing over the head of the Farseer right now. Guardians are capping up top. Chaos Sorcerer was mismicroed and goes down to the Guardians, unfortunately. Looks like the Autarch was killed because she doesn't have her Executioner Spear anymore, I think. Does she retain her upgrades? I'm sure she retains her upgrades if you Skyleave back up to get the global back again. So Autarch went down at some point, I don't know when. CSM over here seem to have took some sort of grenade hit, and now they're actually getting kind of wrecked by the Warlock in melee, but no, they're trading okay. Yeah, the Warlock's the only decent fighter in melee here, and he's actually getting kind of battered. But the CSM are going to start bleeding models fairly quickly. Is this another Demonic Summoning? No, I was going to say it's still on cooldown, but he whops them out. That's interesting. Interesting use of the global. I mean, they were definitely going to bleed. I don't think there's any chance of them dying, though, so I don't know if that was really worth using the global in that instance. And honestly, Gordian is kind of struggling to get back onto the field at the moment. Just has no staying power. Plague Marine's coming out from the base with only one model. Not ideal. And Wraithlord on this side, level 3. I mean, this is where they start getting problematic because they get such a high amount of maximum HP. It becomes very difficult to kill them in one engagement. You just can't output the DPS before your ranged AV gets compromised. And what is this buff here? What is that buff? What the fuck is that? Can someone tell me what the hell this buff is? What is going on right now? What the hell is this buff? I've never seen that before in my life. What was that? Is that the Ghost Helm visual effects? I am so confused. It must be. What? Eh? I don't get it. Why was that necessary? It seems to persist even after the Ghost Helm has been used, which seems to be the problem. I guess it was pretty hard to see when the Ghost Helm was being used before, but why does it persist afterwards? Strange. Anyway, that thrown me. Yeah, I mean, it just looks like Gordian isn't able to get onto the VPs here. He's got no staying power. His range units are just getting compromised too quickly by melee constantly, and yeah, lacks the DPS to actually take out the Wraithlords. I think the autocannon choice that he went with earlier was a mistake. He needed backup siege havocs. That's the thing with the walkers. They're a very all-in strategy. Once you get to this stage, you know, they don't get suppressed. You're just tying your opponent up, and he's just winning on VPs, right? And they acquire so much XP that they start leveling up. They get the max HP that you can't give them in every engagement, and then they never bleed compared to infantry. You just heal them in between fights. Man, that special attack from the Wraithlord is brutal. However, as good as I make them sound, at the end of the day, you can't retreat with your Wraithlord. So you go double walker and you have a really bad engagement, you lose your walkers, which quite frankly is very easy when you're fighting against a Chaos Sorcerer who can teleport their AV around. No Sigil of the Rift, something to note. I think that's a huge error. How can you fight double Wraithlord without Sigil of the Rift? I don't know. I think it's just so essential. But yeah, you lose those double walkers, and it's game over, just like that. It's way easier to lose walkers than it is infantry squads, because infantry squads can retreat, right? So yeah, very all-in strategy, and in this instance, it worked for Cry. Bit of a comeback there. He was really struggling in the early game. So nice to see. Hope you folks enjoyed that. Thank you for tuning in. It's your boy Torpid, signing out.